Kentucky basketball is looking to add one more player to their roster, and it just might be one of the best shooters in the country.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, and on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we are going to dive right back into the transfer portal as Kentucky basketball is still doing some work. They're looking at a prospect right now that's one of the best shooters in the country that's going to be taking visits to the Cats and elsewhere. We'll get into that, as well as an update on Wesley Yates. Can the Cats secure his services? If not, where else will they look? Obviously, the sharpshooter that we're going to talk about is an option, but can Kentucky actually take any more players on their roster? We'll dive into that as well. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Kentucky your first listen every single day. I want to remind everyone out there that we are free and available on all platforms, and if you're watching on YouTube, I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe to the show, and if you are listening on podcast, I would also appreciate it if you subscribed there as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Lamar Wilkerson is a really good shooter in the transfer portal right now, and the Kentucky Wildcats have been on his case for a hot minute. They've been in talks with him, if I am not mistaken, alongside a variety of other programs, and reason being is he is one of the best scorers and one of the best shooters in the entire country. This past season at Sam Houston State, Wilkerson averaged 20.5 points per game, shooting 47.7% from the floor, 44.5% from three, shooting almost 8 threes per game, while also averaging 4 rebounds, 2.1 assists, and 1.1 steals per game. He is, if I'm not mistaken, a 6'5", 210-pound shooting guard / small forward. According to Joe Tipton earlier today, it's actually earlier tonight, I might note, Joe Tipton tweeted this out earlier saying, quote, Sam Houston transfer Lamar Wilkerson, one of the top guards in the portal, plans to visit Indiana, Kentucky, Auburn, and Ole Miss per his representatives, expected to make a decision after those trips. So Kentucky in a battle here again with the likes of the Hoosiers, the Rebels, the Tigers, and of course the Cats themselves also in the mix here as well. So what do we know outside of his just base stats, his dimensions, and what visits he's going to be taking this upcoming week, I guess I should say, the next week or so, couple of weeks? Well, first of all, this is a high-volume, high-efficiency shooter / scorer. Had a 118.3 offensive rating, very solid. Shot 54% at the rim, and that was just a quarter of his field goal attempts, but where he really does his damage is from beyond the arc. Shot 47% on right break threes, that was a fifth of his field goal attempts. 43% on left break threes, that was a fifth of his field goal attempts. This kid was a sharpshooter, and he got the ball in the hole from beyond the arc in a variety of ways. He can pull up off the dribble, he can pull up off a screen. He navigated screens super well during his time at Sam Houston State. If you want to go watch some of his highlight tape, sometimes super patient, sometimes early pulling the trigger. Kid's got a quick release. You love everything that you see here on tape, off screens, off the dribble, in isolation. The kid is putting the ball in the hole, and it reminds you a ton of a player like Kobe Brea this past season for the Wildcats. I think that Wilkerson would fill that role perfectly. And something else interesting about Wilkerson that I think that we need to point out is Kobe came into the Kentucky program as a guy that was kind of spot up, catch and shoot, and that's all he did over the course of the season. Because of injuries and out of necessity, Kobe started handling the ball more, and he started knocking down shots off the dribble. He started initiating some offense. He started getting to the rim a lot more. The thing about Wilkerson is that it looks like he's already got some stuff in his arsenal that can be applied immediately outside of having to development. He is a much better ball handler than what I expected when just watching some of his basic highlights on Twitter. If you want to go actually watch this kid play some games, he gets downhill, he finishes at the rim, he can go up and dunk it because he's 6'5". Kid's got some burst. He's not the fastest player on the court, but he's definitely got some wiggle to him. A lot smoother, I think, than most people would give a shooter like him credit for, and I think that's why he averaged 20 points a game at Sam Houston State. Obviously, it's why he's a career 40% three-point shooter. He can get it from inside, outside, make you pay if you want to close out, and he can also make you pay if you don't step up. So Wilkerson would be the perfect addition in my mind, to a roster that has two young left-handed guards, a point guard that does not shoot the ball particularly well, and then a shooting guard / small forward that doesn't take a ton of threes to begin with. I'm curious to see how Caden Lewis and Jasper Johnson start out offensively. Are they able to create their own stuff? Are they able to knock down shots from three at like a 35+% clip? If they're able to do that, I think everything's okay, but as of right now, somebody like Wilkerson provides maybe some insurance to that room, while also maybe giving you somebody that can give you 25 a night, every other night, rather, I should say, whenever all things are not firing, at least in terms of what Mark Pope wants to do offensively. 87th percentile of spot-up scorers, 18% of his points there. 72nd percentile of ball screen handlers, 85th percentile of transition scores, 72nd percentile of off-ball screen scores, so he's in the 72nd in both ball screen handlers and off-ball screen scoring, and then the 81st percentile of dribble handoff scores. He literally, I don't think this can be emphasized enough, he did everything in an incredibly balanced way. He scored in every single way possible. I think getting somebody like him, and maybe somebody like Alvaro Fulgaris, possibly, if that's still in play here, to kind of solidify things so that you have a firmer rotation at center, and you can move some guys further up. Maybe Diabate play him at the 3 at different times, play Williams at the 3 a little bit more because he's able to stretch the floor and handle. Also, we don't know what Brandon Garrison's going to do, so we'll have to monitor that there. Not great things. I'll just say that whenever you go and want to pull Garrison up on social media. Not great things possibly happening, but it's just rumor. It's just speculation. That's why we're not breaking it down here today. But Wilkerson, man, perfect all-around scorer. Great catch-and-shoot guy. Great three-point shooter. Would fill the Kobe Bryant role perfectly. Somebody that I would like to see Kentucky land. Again, Ole Miss, Auburn, and Indiana, the 3 teams that are going to host him, as well as Kentucky. We've got another player here that I want to discuss an update on his recruitment, at least the most recent update from Joe Tipton. And then also I want to ask and answer the question, what is Kentucky going to do with their scholarship limit right now? Can they take another player? Answer might be no, and if so, who's going to have to get cut? We're going to break that down here on tonight's episode of Locked On Kentucky. Before we do that, though, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at Supply House. You can get the supplies that you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you will find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. And if you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. You can join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's all over at supplyhouse.com. Had to pause for water there. Continuing along here on the Wednesday edition of Locked On Kentucky. Lance Dawe hanging out here with you. Really appreciate you guys checking out the show today. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel or the podcast feed, Would love it if you did so. Thank you so much to everybody that's been watching, commenting, giving your opinions as of late. Some really interesting stuff going on with Kentucky and their roster construction as far as maybe how they want to handle every single position. I know that we're kind of drifting closer and closer towards the endless void of positionless basketball that you see in the NBA and college. I don't think you're ever going to fully get there, but when it comes to what's happening at the Power 6 level, you're already starting to see it at some point, or at various points. And for Kentucky, I think you're going to see a little bit of that. And I think you already see a little bit of that through the fact that they like to run so much stuff, so many sets, I should say, through their 5. There's a player here, though, I think would be an excellent ball handler and an excellent scorer. And while Wilkerson may be I think, perfect Kobe Brea addition to this roster, I think the best overall player that Kentucky could get that's in the portal right now is Wesley Yates. I still believe he's the best overall option for Kentucky. However, not great news on that front. And this was the most recent update from Joe Tipton. This came yesterday afternoon on Tuesday. He said, quote, in an article, Yates entered the portal late last week after a really impressive season at USC, in which he averaged 14.1 points on nearly 44% from 3. The former top 50 recruit began his career at Washington, got injured and redshirted with 3 years of eligibility left. Yates has become very sought after. 2 schools come up frequently in conversations, Kentucky and a potential return to Washington. I would personally give Mark Pope and the Cats the slight edge as of today, but portal recruiting can change in an instant. And then at 5 p.m., 5:06 p.m. update from Joe Tipton on that same article. Sources say Washington is picking up significant momentum with Yates. It sounds like Kentucky is going in a different direction. Since then, there's been nothing but speculation, in my opinion, thrown out on social media about what Yates is going to do, whether or not Kentucky's even in this thing at all anymore, or whether or not this is just an inevitable marriage between Yates and Washington for a second time. I don't care what any random Twitter insider has to say about this. Reality of the situation is Washington's picked up momentum. Kentucky is looking in a different direction. Sounds like it, according to Tipton. I still believe that he is the best option that Kentucky could pick up in their backcourt overall. He is just a joy to watch. His highlight tape was so fun. He's got some burst. He's got some speed. The note that I had yesterday was he's got some juice to him, man. He's got some fire to him. It's fun. It's entertaining to watch. He can score at the rim. He can score in the mid-range. He can score from beyond the arc. He's in the 100th percentile of catch-and-shoot scores, which meaning he's the best catch-and-shoot player in the country. It's possible Yates wants to go elsewhere to get more playing time. It's possible he wants to go somewhere else to get more, I guess, command of the offense, because reality check, there's not going to be one individual person that just runs the show for Mark Pope. Not this season. Didn't happen last season. And it may not ever truly happen. Big fish recruits pending, right? And I'm not saying that there's one out there. I'm just saying, like, if they had gotten AJ, obviously, like the 5-star that went to BYU, that could be a conversation, right? If they had gotten Cooper Flagg this past season, somehow wouldn't have happened. Okay, yeah, then maybe you run your stuff through him almost every single trip down the floor. But Yates, I think it makes sense for him to search for a different opportunity to showcase its talents, because it's clear he's an NBA talent. He is a future NBA talent, which is why I'd love to have him at Kentucky. He's got something to him, man. 14 points on nearly 44% from 3. I would love to have that. With the way that he got to the rim, with the way that he was able to score, I would love to have somebody like Yates with Mark Pope because it gives you a bailout. It gives you an option. Last season, the only guy that could consistently bail Kentucky out was Dawe. It was getting to the rim, flipping something up, just being stronger than you, scoring at the basket. Somebody like Yates gives you a second option. I continue to go back to, and I'm not questioning it saying, it's not going to happen. I'm questioning it, wondering just in case, because you can't just roll into the season and expect Jasper Johnson and a Caden Lewis and Malachi Marino to just be it, right? This is not the Kentucky of old. This is not John Calipari's Kentucky. You didn't just roll in with a bunch of 5-star recruits and you expect all of them to kind of turn up athletically and some of them to pan out further than that, right? These guys are going to play important minutes, specifically Jasper. And I'm just curious, does he have that in him? Does he have that dog in him to be able to, year one, come out and be the guy at shooting guard? I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm saying I don't know. Getting someone like Wilkerson or Yates, I think, covers your behind. In case Jasper gets injured, in case Dawe gets injured, somebody like Yates, somebody like Wilkerson definitely helps you out. I'll take either of them. But here's the reality for Kentucky. And this is what kind of stinks. I hate to end the show on a negative note. Kentucky, I don't think, can take another player without taking someone off of this roster. In case you didn't see it, the NCAA is now allowing teams to take up to 15 scholarship players. That does not mean you can have 15 scholarship players and then some walk-ons. Based on what I've read, and who knows, maybe I'm completely dead wrong on this. Based on what I've read, it looks like you can have a 15-man roster and you can give scholarships to all of them if you want. But you can't have more than 15 players total, and you can't have more than 15 scholarships. They just made the specification of you can give out more scholarships now. You're still limited at a 15-man roster. Which means Kentucky doesn't have a spot for Wilkerson. Kentucky does not have a spot for Fulgaris. They don't have a spot right now for a guy like Wesley Yates. Why? Count it up with me. Jalen Lowe, a Caden Lewis, Jasper Johnson, Colin Chandler, Otega Dawe, Trent Noah, Cam Williams, Mohamed Diabate, Jaden Quaintance, Brandon Garrison, Malachi Marino. That's 2 at point guard. That's 2 at shooting guard. Makes 4. That's 2 at small forward. That's 6. That's 2 at power forward. That's 8. And that's 3 at center. 9, 10, 11. You have, right now, 3 different walk-ons. Derbyshire, Zach Tao, and who am I forgetting? Derbyshire, Tao, and there's one more. I'm so sorry that I slipped in the middle of this conversation. There's one more. Oh, and Walker Horn. I also forgot Travis Perry. Whoops. Yeah, I accidentally left him off. So he's your third point guard. So that's 12. Perry makes 12. The three walk-ons, Derbyshire, Tao, and Horn, make 15. You don't have another spot. There is none. Unless somebody leaves. Or multiple players leave. There are some out there that are concerned that Otega Dawe is going to enter the transfer portal. I'm not one of those people. I think he's coming back. I think he would only leave if he was declaring for the draft. And I don't think he's a first-round talent right now. Who knows? Maybe another year at Kentucky could change that. But somebody else could. And Brandon Garrison took Kentucky basketball out of his Instagram bio. He didn't take it out of his Twitter bio, but nobody checks Twitter. He took it out of his IG bio. And I'm not sitting here telling you he's going to transfer. It's just something athletes do sometimes. I don't know what's going on. I'm not sitting here telling you I'm an insider. All I'm sitting here telling you is watch that space and look. If it means taking a guy like Horn or Dawe or Derbyshire off the roster to get somebody like Wilkerson or Yates or Fulgaris or Pierre, I think that's a sacrifice you're willing to make. If you're Mark Pope and the staff, it's not an easy one for sure. I know Captain Crash is rushing to the comments right now to talk about Grant Derbyshire and how you literally can't get rid of him. Frankly, if you're going to keep one, I think you keep Derbyshire. But also at the same time, if you're expecting a jump from Colin Chandler and Trent Noah, if you're expecting Chandler to be an actual SEC caliber player, which he was towards the end of the season, you don't need anybody else. If Brandon Garrison stays, you're freaking loaded in your front court. You can slide Quaintance up to the 4 and let Garrison and Marino be your two true 5s. You can slide Diabate or Williams up to the 3 more comfortably. You could slide Owe up to shooting guard more comfortably. Jasper doesn't have to carry so much at shooting guard because Chandler and Owe are contributing more. Lowe and Lewis, you do their thing at the 1 and you roll. There are a lot of ways that this could pan out. With Wilkerson taking his visits over, I assume the next week or so. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3, who knows? I'm assuming with Wilkerson taking his time and with Yates probably making a decision before then, we're going to get, and Pierre probably making a decision, and Fulgaris getting an answer now that he's back in the States. We're going to see how this shapes up pretty quickly. If Garrison enters the portal, I think that's a huge loss for Kentucky. There are people out there that look at him positively. There are people out there that criticize his play. As a former McDonald's All-American with some legit athleticism and somebody that was averaging almost 2 assists per game in the Mark Pope system as a backup, I think he can only get better. I think he can only improve, especially now that he's actually knocking down outside shots. He's somebody that I would love to have on the roster next season. Because if you don't, then you're looking at Quaintance and Marino as your only 2 true 5s. Is Marino ready? I don't know. We'll see. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hey, you can follow the show on Twitter at Locked On UK. You can follow me on Twitter at @LanceDahl_, and follow the show over on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, you can leave those in the YouTube comments below. You can hit me on the socials. I will see you all tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and God bless.